So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover that day's newspaper in a short span of time within 20 minutes. All right. Now, today is July 15th, 2024, and in today's newspaper, there were few important topics that are important for your civil services examination. So, let's take a look at those topics which are important for you. All right. And which we are going to discuss in today's session. Now, number one, there is this new weight loss drug, weight loss medicine tirzepatide. Tirzepatide. All right. Now, India's drug regulator or India's medicine approver, which is known as Central Drug Standards Control Organization, is in the process of approving this weight loss drug for tackling obesity. Okay. So you just have to eat this medicine and you lose weight. So we'll talk about this. Then there was this news with respect to National Skill Development Corporation. They have given certain recommendations for the finance ministry to include those recommendations in union budget, which is going to be presented in a few days. So what were those recommendations given by National Skill Development Corporation, and what is National Skill Development Corporation? We'll talk about this. Then recently, Amazon Pay and another organization came out with a report regarding retail digital payments in India. How have they grown? Which sort of age group is more biased towards digital payment? Which sort of age group is more biased towards use of cash? We'll talk about this. And Maharashtra came out with a law to criminalize urban Naxalism. So what is urban Naxalism and what is this law passed by? Or basically it's still a bill. It's not become a law. But what is this bill that was passed by Maharashtra Assembly? Okay, we'll talk about all these four items. But let's start with the first news item, which is weight loss drug tirzepatide. It's difficult to, I don't know how to pronounce this, but just remember the spellings. Tirzepatide. So, an expert committee of India's drug regulator. Now, India's drug regulator is Central Drug Standards Control Organization. So this is the organization CDSCO which gives approval to different medicines. They have they actually formed an expert committee to look into this drug, this medicine, whether we can use this medicine in India, give approval to this medicine in India. Now this expert committee has given green light to this drug. So after some discussions, CDSO might approve this drug. Following a review of this recommendation, the drug will be given final approval by the regulator, allowing its manufacturer, Eli Lilly. So, Eli Lilly is the name of the company that has manufactured this drug to launch the product in the Indian market. Okay, so basically, this is the salt or this is the medicine. Okay, Eli Lilly manufactures this medicine under a different brand name. We'll talk about that brand name. But first, let's talk about how this drug came about. Okay, look, there are a few companies who make medicines for curing diabetes. Now, those companies have found out that these same medicines actually also aid in weight loss. So, in 2017, there was this company called Novo Nordisk. They created a medicine, Ozempic, which was to cure type 2 diabetes. Now, this Ozempic actually contains a salt called semaglutide. Okay, and it was being prescribed to type 2 diabetes. Now, over a period of time, people found out that this semaglutide found in this medicine also helps in weight loss. Therefore, Novo Nordisk actually created a separate drug. Ozempic was for diabetes, and they created a separate drug in which semaglutide was in higher quantity. They called it Wegovy. Okay, and Wegovy was being prescribed for weight loss. Okay, so Wegovy and Ozempic contain semaglutide. Okay, which aids in weight loss. Now there is this another pharma company called Eli Lilly. They also launched a medicine called Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes, and they also found that this medicine cure also aids in weight loss. Okay, but Mounjaro doesn't contain semaglutide. Mounjaro contains tirzepatide. Okay, so therefore Eli Lilly also saw the opportunity. So they now created two medicines: Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes and a separate medicine which also contains tirzepatide for weight loss. Okay, make sense? Now, difference between semaglutide, which is used for weight loss and diabetes, tirzepatide, which is again used for weight loss. Okay, so Nordisk created Wegovy, which contains semaglutide, and Eli Lilly created weight loss medicine called Zepbound, which contains tirzepatide. They both are medicines for chronic weight management in adults, and these are actually injections which are given under the skin injections, okay, subcutaneous injections. Now, both semaglutide, what is so special about these two chemicals? So these two chemicals, semaglutide and tirzepatide, are polypeptides. Now, what are polypeptides? These are small proteins, okay, which actually promote the manufacturing of a hormone. Okay, that hormone is called glucagon-like peptide. Okay, now glucagon-like peptide, also known as GLP-1, it actually controls neurons in your brain and digestive tract. Basically, what happens is when you are given this drug, so your body starts to produce GLP-1. GLP-1 is that hormone which gives you the feeling of satiation. Okay, whenever you eat food, okay, and after eating that food, you feel that your hunger is gone. You're no more hungry. That is known as satiation. So that feeling of satiation in your nervous system comes from this hormone. So these two chemicals, polypeptides, actually generate that hormone which gives you the feeling of satiation. In fact, semaglutide produces GLP-1, but tirzepatide produces GLP-1 as well as GIP, insulinotropic polypeptide, which again helps your brain or tricks your brain and gut to feel that you are no longer hungry. Okay, so basically, you just have to remember for your prelims that semaglutide and tirzepatide are both polypeptides and they produce GLP-1, okay, and GIP. That's it. Okay, let's move on to next news item, which is National Skill Development Corporation. So recently, NSDC has essentially called for bringing parity between tax benefits available for education-related services, such as loans, and offering the same incentives to skill development training courses as well. Look, NSDC has told the Finance Ministry that in this budget, do one thing. Look, there are certain tax benefits given to education sector and educational institutes. NSDC is saying that similar tax benefits to people going for these educational institutions or these institutes, similar tax benefits should be given to skill centers or skill institutes. At present, tax paid by skill institutes is higher than education. So there should be parity between the two. All right. So certain exemptions are given to educational institutes and people taking educational loan under the Income Tax Act and GST. Those similar exemptions should be given to skill institutes. All right. That's what NSDC has advised, recommended the Union Finance Ministry. Okay. Now, what is NSDC? So, National Skill Development Corporation is a not-for-profit company. Okay, which was created under Section 8 of Companies Act. It is a not-for-profit company established in 2008. It operates as a public-private partnership model under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now, the government owns 49% of this corporation, and the remaining is held by 51% held by private sector. So, remember these three facts. All right. Now, NSDC has given certain recommendations. What are those recommendations? Said that when you pay fees in an educational institute, you are exempted. That amount that you have paid as fees in an educational institute is deductible in your income tax assessment. Okay, so that benefit under the Income Tax Act should be extended to not just educational institute but skill development center. Plus, educational services are GST exempt at places, or they just have to pay a nominal 5% tax. Whereas skill development or employment services have to pay 18% tax. So NSDC has said that it should be deducted to 5%. So these are a few recommendations. You don't have to remember those recommendations. Just remember what NSDC is. Okay. Now let's move on to next news item, which is retail digital payments in India. So recently a research study was conducted by Kearney and Amazon Pay, which actually told us a lot about the retail digital payment, the digital payment system in India. Okay. Now the research was basically an online survey of 6,000 customers and 1,000 shopkeepers or merchants through offline online methods across 120 cities from different regions, income groups, city categories, age bracket, gender. And what were the findings of this survey? Well, they say that India will reach $7 trillion of digital transactions. Digital transactions in a year by 2030. So at present in India, there are annual $3.6 trillion of digital transactions. It would reach 7 trillion, more than double or around double by 2030. In 2017-18, it was 300 billion. From that, it has reached 3.6 trillion, 10 times. Okay, in the last 5 years. That is spectacular growth in online payments. And who has led the charge? Well, mostly millennials and Gen Z or the new generations have been the biggest adopters of digital payment. Plus, there is no gender gap as far as digital payment is concerned, both men and women. All right, 72% of their transactions are digital for both men and women. All right, so that is about it. And last news item, law to curb urban Naxalism. First of all, Naxalism is red terror or terrorist groups who are motivated by communist ideology. Communist, we call it Marxist, Leninist ideologies. Okay, so we call them left wing extremism, also left wing extremism. We call them red terror, also. We call them Naxalism, also. Now, most of these red terrorist groups or Naxal groups actually operate in rural, remote, forest areas. All right. Now, the thing is that these people have their support bases in urban areas also, which help them with money laundering, which help them do their PR, which help them give these terrorist groups good publicity in the eyes of the people living in cities. Right now, these people are termed as urban Naxals. So there are actual Naxals who are fighting with guns in tribal areas, right? But there are people who support them in the cities. Those are called urban Naxals. Okay. So Maharashtra government has proposed a sweeping new law to deal with the increasing presence of Naxalism in urban centers. Now, some people have criticized this bill for being draconian and vague with vague definitions. Though this session of Maharashtra Assembly was the last session. After a few months, new elections are taking place. All right. So this bill that has been passed by the Maharashtra Assembly would get dissolved or would lapse as soon as Maharashtra Assembly gets dissolved and fresh elections take place, which is just in few months' time. So it was just a political stunt. Though, if this law has to become, or if this bill has to become law, well, the new government after the election should pass this law, or the government passes the ordinance before the elections. Any which way, it is just in the bill stage. Okay, it has not become law. But let's talk a bit more about urban Naxals. As you can see in this picture, actual Naxals fight with gun. Urban Naxals fight with pen, which means they do publicity for their brothers in forests, okay? And they launder money for them also. So the menace of Naxalism is not only limited to remote areas of the Naxal affected states, but its presence is increasing in the urban areas through Naxal front organizations. Okay, these are organizations which appear legal, but is on in the background they are actually working for actual Naxals. According to Maharashtra government, these frontal organizations provide logistics and safe refuge to armed Naxal cadres. As per Maharashtra government, existing laws are ineffective and inadequate to tackle this menace of Naxalism, urban Naxalism. And for that, Maharashtra has come out with a new law. All right. Now that's about it. That's all in today's lecture. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you want to download the notes for this lecture, well, subscribe to our Telegram channel as well. In that channel, I've posted the notes for July 15th current affairs as well. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below. So be sure to check that out. All right. And on that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much.